In the late summer of 480 BCE, the fate of Greece narrowed to a single strip of land so tight that two chariots could barely pass side by side. A place called Thermopylae, the Hot Gates, where steam rose from the earth and cliffs pressed hard against the sea, and where a small alliance of Greek city-states prepared to stand against the greatest empire the world had ever known. The Persian king Xerxes I, heir to the vast dominion built by Darius the Great, marched west with an army so large that ancient writers struggled to comprehend it, claiming numbers in the hundreds of thousands, supported by fleets that darkened the horizon and supply lines that stretched across continents. To the Persians, Greece was a rebellious fringe of fractured city-states that needed to be brought into order. But to the Greeks, this invasion represented the possible end of their independence, their culture, and their way of life. The Hellenic League formed in desperation, with Sparta, Athens, Corinth, and other poleis setting aside rivalries to resist the oncoming storm, knowing that open battle on the plains would mean annihilation. The Spartans, trained from childhood to be warriors, were chosen to anchor the defense, not because they were numerous, but because their discipline, armor, and tactics made them uniquely suited for holding narrow terrain. King Leonidas of Sparta, a descendant of Heracles according to Spartan tradition, was bound by law and prophecy, as the oracle at Delphi had warned that either Sparta would fall or a king of Spartan blood would die. Because the sacred festival of Carnea restricted full mobilization, Leonidas departed with a small advance force of 300 Spartan hoplites, accompanied by several thousand allies from Thespia, Thebes, Arcadia, and other Greek cities. Each Spartan chosen had already fathered a son, ensuring that his family line would survive, a decision that reveals how fully this mission was understood to be a sacrifice rather than a campaign of conquest. When the Greeks arrived at Thermopylae, they repaired an ancient wall and positioned themselves where the mountains forced the Persian army into a narrow front, negating its numerical advantage and turning size into a liability. For days, Xerxes waited, expecting the Greeks to flee at the sight of his army, but Leonidas and his men stood calmly, exercising, combing their hair, and preparing for death with the same discipline they had shown their entire lives. When battle finally came, the Persian infantry advanced in waves, Medes and Scythians charging into a wall of bronze shields and spears, only to be cut down as the Greeks rotated ranks with mechanical precision. The Spartans fought not as individuals seeking glory, but as a single organism, each man protecting the next, retreating and advancing in formation, their heavy armor and long spears dominating the confined space. Xerxes sent in his elite immortals, warriors believed never to fall below 10,000 in number. But even they could not break the Greek line, and the pass became clogged with bodies as Persian assaults failed again and again. For 2 days, Thermopylae held, and the myth of Persian invincibility began to crack, as messengers carried word back through the empire that a handful of Greeks had stalled the great king himself. But betrayal came from within the land, as a local man named Ephialtes revealed a hidden mountain path that allowed the Persians to outflank the defenders and surround them. When Leonidas learned of the encirclement, he dismissed most of the allied forces, ordering them to withdraw and live to fight another day, while choosing to remain with his Spartans and a small number of allies who refused to leave. The final stand began at dawn, with Leonidas leading a furious charge into the Persian ranks, abandoning defensive positions to inflict as much damage as possible before being overwhelmed. The Spartan king fell in battle, struck down as arrows and blades closed in, and a savage struggle erupted over his body, with Spartans fighting desperately to retrieve him and Persians pressing to claim his corpse. Eventually, the Greeks were forced back to a small hill, where they formed a last circle, shields splintered, spears broken, fighting with swords, then hands, then teeth, until Persian archers ended the resistance beneath a storm of arrows. By the end, nearly all of Leonidas' Spartans lay dead, alongside hundreds of Thespians and others who had chosen to stand with them, while Persian losses were staggering by comparison. Thermopylae was a tactical defeat, but a strategic victory for Greece, buying precious time for Athens to evacuate, for Greek fleets to regroup, and for morale to ignite across the city-states. Within a year, the Persians would be decisively defeated at Salamis in Plataea. Their invasion shattered, and Greece would endure. Shaped forever by the sacrifice made at the hot gates, the story of the 300 Spartans was preserved not because they won, but because they chose to stand when retreat meant survival, transforming death into defiance and memory into weapon. An epitaph later marked the site, reading simply that travelers should tell Sparta that here her sons lay obedient to her laws. A statement that defines Spartan values more clearly than any victory ever could. Today, Thermopylae remains a symbol of resistance against overwhelming odds, a reminder that courage, discipline, and unity can alter the course of history, even in defeat. If this story moved you, make sure to like and subscribe for more history brought to life. And let us know in the comments what event or legend you would like us to explore next.